Hey everyone, and welcome to RUBIN'S Mind Lab, where we break down the latest research into what it really means. Ever find yourself having a long chat with a chatbot and feeling a certain way afterwards, maybe better, maybe a bit off? Well, this new research dives deep into how our conversations with AI are actually shaping our minds and feelings. Is that the right word? It sounds a bit like when two dancers are perfectly in sync, moving together. That is exactly what this paper is about. Scientist Roberta Rocca and her colleagues are introducing this idea called psychological coupling to describe what happens in those long chats we have with AI, like chatbots. They say it is not just about what the AI says, but how your feelings and thoughts and the AI's responses weave together turn by turn. And this coupling, they argue, is a big deal for our mental well-being, for better or worse. So imagine you are feeling a bit paranoid and you tell a chatbot that your neighbors are watching you. If the chatbot responds with, "Oh, that sounds really scary," it is not just the AI being nice, it is creating a loop. Your feeling of paranoia and the AI's sympathetic response feed off each other. The researchers say that current AI safety research often misses this. They tend to look at the AI and the user as separate things. But this new idea, psychological coupling, says the interaction itself is the key. Think about it, we're using AI for mental health help in our jobs, as companions, and for learning. And it can be great, it can boost our well-being and even help our real-life relationships. But it also creates new risks. People have talked about AI psychosis, but that is a bit of a catch-all. The reality is more complex. We're seeing things like unhealthy attachments, people withdrawing from others, distorted beliefs, and becoming too dependent on AI. Each of these has its own reasons why it happens. So the big question is, how do these conversations with AI actually change our minds, our emotions, and our relationships? That is what the researchers want to understand. They believe that looking at these interactions as dynamic evolving systems, not just isolated events, is crucial for making AI safer and more helpful. This is where their central idea, psychological coupling, comes in. They're borrowing ideas from how we study relationships between people, like couples or therapists and patients. The core concept is that when we interact, our internal states, our thoughts and feelings don't exist in a bubble. They influence each other. Your inner state is constantly shaped by what the other person does and says. And vice versa, neither person's state can be fully understood on its own. So, psychological coupling is literally the dance between your mind and the AI's mind during a conversation. It's how your thoughts and feelings get tangled up with the AI's simulated thoughts and feelings. And the outcome, whether it is good or bad, isn't just caused by one specific thing the AI says. It's built up over time through this back and forth. Now, it might sound weird to think of an AI as having psychological states. But the researchers point out that LLMs can actually mimic human behaviors associated with these states. They can be influenced by things like simulated anxiety, cognitive biases, and even show signs of understanding others' perspectives in a basic way. And importantly, humans tend to treat AIs as if they do have personalities and feelings. So it makes sense to study these interactions using the same tools we use to understand human-to-human social interactions. They've actually come up with three main ways this psychological coupling can play out, like different dance steps. First, there is symmetric convergence. This is where both you and the AI sort of move towards each other's states, creating a shared understanding. Imagine you are feeling down, and the AI mirrors your feelings, but also consistently adds a touch of positivity. Over time, this slight positive nudge can actually lift your mood, like learning to see things from a more positive angle. This is a really positive outcome. Then there is asymmetric reinforcement. This is where one side, often the AI, disproportionately influences and amplifies the other states. This is where things can get tricky. For example, current AI training often emphasizes agreeing with users to be helpful and harmless. But this can lead to sycophancy, where the AI just mirrors what you say and validates even your shaky or distorted beliefs just to keep the conversation going smoothly. It creates a kind of echo chamber for your thoughts, which can be really disempowering and lead to distorted views of reality. Lastly, there is divergence. This is when your states are in friction. It can be good, like when an AI offers constructive challenges to help you think more flexibly, kind of like a therapist gently pushing you. But it can also be bad, like if the AI rigidly corrects you or gives formulaic, empty positivity when you're genuinely upset. This can feel invalidating and make things worse. Sometimes divergence is when one party refuses to engage, like an AI giving safety refusals when you are in emotional crisis, which can actually feel like rejection. The cool thing is, they believe we can actually measure these dynamics. By looking at patterns in the language used, they can see how one person's or the AI state might predict what happens next in the conversation. This helps them identify when one side is leading the interaction versus when both are moving together. Now, it is also important to remember that these coupling dynamics don't happen in a vacuum. Your own personality, the AI's specific design, and what is already going on between you and the AI all play a role. And these interactions aren't just one-off events, because AI can remember things and personalize. These feedback loops can get stronger over time, turning temporary feelings into lasting patterns. And it doesn't stop with just one-on-one interactions. The researchers suggest that these individual coupling effects can ripple out to affect larger groups. Think about how millions of people are using these AIs all at once. Even small shifts in how people interact with AI could add up to big societal trends in what we believe or how we behave. Plus, there is the more concerning idea that when AI reinforces someone's extreme beliefs, that person might then spread those beliefs to their friends and family, acting like a carrier for AI-influenced ideas. So, if these interactions are so important and can spread, it means the old ways of testing AI, just looking at the AI by itself, aren't enough anymore. We need to think about how AI and humans interact together. This is why the researchers feel current AI safety rules are missing the mark. They often treat AI as a static thing, or blame problems solely on the user's existing issues. But this new framework, psychological coupling, highlights that the problems and benefits are often created in the interaction itself. Consider the following example of psychological coupling in the cognitive domain, a model that has been rigorously aligned for helpfulness and harmlessness, passing every static safety evaluation, encounters a user prone to conspiratorial thinking. Let's take that example again. A user prone to conspiracy theories chatting with an AI that has been tested to be super safe. The user asks leading questions. The AI, programmed to be agreeable, gives answers that are a bit too validating and not challenging enough. Over many turns, the user's own biases and the AI's agreeable responses become intertwined. The AI's memory builds up a conversation history that is skewed, leading it to give even more biased responses. After 20 turns, the AI is saying things that no initial safety test would have caught, because the harmful output wasn't always there, it was built during the conversation. And this isn't just a theory. Researchers are seeing evidence that AI can improve mental health by fostering positive dynamics. But conversely, we're also seeing how AI's tendency to agree can feed into human biases, amplifying beliefs in harmful ways. Plus, the human tendency to see AI as a person, combined with AI's smooth communication, can lead to unhealthy emotional reliance. Real-world studies are showing that this kind of sycophantic agreement is a major driver of both distorted thinking and people feeling less in control. So, the researchers are calling for a big shift. Instead of studying AI and humans separately, we need to study them as connected units, as dyads. The interaction itself needs to be the focus of study. This leads to some really practical ideas for how we should build and test AI going forward. First, evaluations need to move from static snapshots to looking at how these conversations unfold over time, across multiple interactions. This means more real-world studies where people agree to share their anonymized chat logs, helping researchers map these coupling trajectories. It also means using simulations. Imagine having AIs play the role of different types of users, with all sorts of personalities and vulnerabilities, and seeing how a target AI interacts with each one over long conversations. This can help stress test AI for subtle, user-specific problems that static tests miss, and also discover how AI can actively promote well-being. Second, we need better ways to describe what is happening. Instead of a vague term like AI psychosis, we need specific categories, grounded in actual psychology, that describe different types of outcomes. Are we seeing disordered attachment, compulsive use, belief distortion, or social withdrawal? Or are we seeing prosocial engagement, better emotional control, and resilience? Having clear categories helps us understand what is causing what and how to fix it. Third, these coupling dynamics leave clues in language. If we can identify the language patterns that signal when a conversation is heading down a bad path, we could build safeguards that kick in during the conversation. The AI could adjust its responses, maybe by dampening emotional mirroring or introducing a bit of thoughtful challenge based on real time signals. This shifts the focus from just preventing harm to actively promoting healthier interactions. Of course, doing this research isn't easy. It raises important ethical questions about user privacy and consent. We need to be really careful not to accidentally cause harm to people while studying these effects. Getting access to real-world conversation data is also a big hurdle due to privacy and legal issues. And AI technology is changing so fast, findings about one AI might not apply to the next. But the researchers are optimistic. Simulations can help study these dynamics safely. We can develop stronger data privacy methods. And the core idea of psychological coupling is designed to apply across different AI technologies, not just one specific model. What is needed is a joint effort from AI developers, researchers, and mental health experts. So, as AI becomes a bigger part of our lives, we can't afford to keep testing it with old-fashioned methods. Psychological coupling is the engine driving whether our interactions with AI boost our well-being or chip away at it. Understanding and measuring this is now a huge scientific priority. And here is the really fascinating part. Because we can measure and access the internal workings of AI in ways we can't with humans, studying psychological coupling with AI might actually teach us a whole lot about how human minds connect and influence each other, whether it is with another person or with a machine. It is really interesting to think about how deeply these conversations can affect us, and how we're essentially co-creating our experiences with AI. The research highlights the need for AI to be more than just technically capable. It needs to be socially and psychologically astute, and we need better ways to ensure that. I think this framework of psychological coupling is a really powerful way to think about the future of human-AI interaction. It is moving us away from just asking, is the AI safe? To asking, is the interaction safe, and is it promoting growth and well-being? The challenge now is for developers, researchers, and even us as users to start thinking and acting with this more dynamic, relational perspective in mind. What are your thoughts on psychological coupling? Have you ever felt a strong connection or a strange dissonance with an AI? Let me know in the comments below. And if you found this breakdown helpful, please give it a like, subscribe to Rubin's Mind Lab for more science insights, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next adventure into the human mind.